From a moment, and finally the time is now to shine.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Family, friends, frenemies, enemies, and foes. What's going on? You all know who this is. That man that goes by the name of Clyde Rush. This is the Light Body Podcast. Now, listen, over the last couple of weeks, we've been going kind of deep, going kind of far, and going kind of wide. So, as I promised you in this video today, I'm going to share with you the Morphic Field, and I am going to share with you sacred geometry. Now, listen, before we even dive into this, the way that I'm going to approach this, because of the vastness of what the Morphic Field actually is, and because of the vastness about what sacred geometry is, and because there are different levels of comprehension, understanding, and relativity for each one of these topics, which varies based on who you are and your degree of studies. So what I've decided to do, and because of who it is that I am, I said, I'm going to make this and break it down to its lowest common denominator, which means it's inclusive for everyone. However, with that being said, if you feel like you want to go deeper, put it down in the comments down below. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. But for the sake of time, and you'll know I can go off on this thing and be here for hours and hours and days, but for the sake of your time and my time, I'm going to be respectful of both of them. I hope it's only been a couple of minutes since I've been talking here, but the bottom line is this: we all going into the Morphic Field, and I'm going to keep it relative. I'm going to keep it light, energetic, and fun and entertaining for you. Okay, so I am going to discuss this Morphic Field, and I'm going to stick to what it is that I actually have here. And if I veer off, you know, when I start talking about this stuff, I start to get fired up about it because I understand the significance of it and the relativity of it, as you will too. With that being said, let's jump right in this because of the sake of time. So this concept of the Morphic Field, as proposed by Rupert Sheldrake, is somewhat similar to the idea of storing information in the field. When you hear about these field of infinite possibilities, you hear about this, let's just keep it to the Morphic Field, which is what Sheldrake referenced. It's like storing information and making it accessible when you need it in the field. Where is the field? Outside of who it is that you actually are. So what do I mean by that? There is a spectrum of light and there's a vibration that we can actually see and feel. Okay, spectrum of light, vibrations that we can see and feel. What I'm suggesting to you is that there is more than what we can see. There's more than what we can actually feel. Based on our education, systems of learning, we are either in tune to it or out of tune with it. We have the faculties to understand so much more than we actually do. I'll save that for another part. I'm going to go back into what this Morphic Field is and what Sheldrake, my mistake, suggests that this field actually is. The Morphic fields are non-material structures that contain patterns of information related to behaviors, traits, and other characteristics within a species. These fields are thought to influence, they're thought to influence the development and behavior of organisms, allowing the transmission of learned behaviors and acquired traits across generations. What does that mean? There is information, an infinite supply of information ready to be used at your disposal. If you want to think about it, let's just call it a library of the universe that's right out here in space. I know. You're like, yeah, right. Or you may be saying, I knew it all the time. Have you ever sat down and you thought about someone, and all of a sudden, the person that you think about calls you? Today, you get a text from that person, or you get an email from that person, or somehow or another, inadvertently, out of nowhere, it just seems that this person was on your mind for no reason, and that person says the same thing to you, and all of a sudden, you engage in a conversation. That's a similarity to what it is that I'm referring to. In some spaces, they call it quantum entanglement. That's something else. But we're going to stay on this topic of this morphic field because that entanglement is revolved around this as well. When we think about the quantum field, because the quantum field is about energy. And what's important, if you really want to understand what it is that I'm referring to as far as this, and I'm being very conservative with this right now, is that we are all energetic beings. You ever said my energy is just a little low? You ever said I'm feeling a little tired? Those are relegated towards states of energy within your body. Okay, do I feel tired? Do I feel a little sleepy? Different things, different states are all relegated to the degree of energy that you actually have in your body, which is also associated to sleep patterns. It's also associated to food, hydration, stress levels, shifting from, I'm gonna do my best to stay here with y'all now, the sympathetic nervous system, which is about fight, flight, freeze, or hide, and the parasympathetic nervous system about rest, digest, relax, and pleasure. All of these reside within every single one of us. We have trillions of cells within our bodies, okay? Those cells carry information. And those cells that carry information move in and about and around through this body. We have something that's called a torus field. That torus field is our extension of what it is that we feel. Think about it as this term called proprioception. I know. I'm just going into this. Proprioception is your space that you feel around you when you are moving. All right. It's just like if a person is going to play baseball, right? Or if a person is playing basketball, or if a person is playing golf, or if there's some other sport that a person is playing in, and there is some type of physiological structure that a person actually has to move through with their body. You see a person who's running in center field or in left field or right field in a baseball field. And a person is sitting at bat, not sitting, but in position at bat. They swing at a ball that's coming at them based on the pitcher's speed, maybe a slow ball, maybe a fastball, 100, whatever that speed that ball is actually coming at that person, and the person connects with that ball with that bat. That person that's playing out in the field, or depending on the position that they're playing in baseball, they have to gauge how far they have to run to catch that ball based on the flight of the ball and where they are. Okay. When I'm talking about proprioception, it's a recognition of where you are in space, where you are in energy, and how you can compensate from where you see something that's projected to where you need to actually be to go get it. Now, you've seen all kind of feats where in baseball, these guys have a wall that's out there. You've seen these guys actually climb up that wall, run up the wall, and catch a ball. You've seen them do all kinds of feats that's beyond. You've seen people play basketball. I'm not going to mention anybody's names, but you've seen them make all kinds of shots that just seem like they just never miss. How does that happen for one person and not happen for another person? It's about the power of belief. This morphic field, when you connect to it, you're taking the information that's in that field, processing that information within inside yourself, and then delivering from that information. Okay. Again, going back into what Sheldrake is speaking in reference to, and I'm going to say the same thing again. He suggests that the morphic fields are non-material structures that contain patterns of information related to behaviors and traits and other characteristics within a species. Okay. What happens if you decide to turn on and you take it to the next level, which is what this is all about. See, in this morphic field, it's full of information, things that you more than likely have forgotten about or you weren't really introduced to. So it's kind of a hard time for you to grapple onto this. Maybe some of you got this from right off the jump and you're like, yo, let's go deeper into this. And I will gladly go deeper into this. But I need you to comment down below. I need you to get engaged with this so that you just don't hear me rattling on about something that's just not relative to who it is that you are. But what I am telling you, no matter what it is that you do and you walk away from this, I want you to walk away from this with the concept and the idea that there is more than what meets the eye. There is more of what it is that you actually feel and why you feel the way it is that you feel. There's something inside of it. All of this, when I get into the sacred geometry part of this, you'll understand even more. But right now, I'm just talking about the external part. When we talk about environment, you hear me speaking in reference to epigenetics and how epigenetics impacts the gene, let's call expression, and how you can impact your gene expression through the environment that you are actually in, which is what epigenetics is. It's above the gene expression, okay? And we have an ability to impact our expression. But the question is do we truly believe it? Because if we don't believe it, no matter what it is that I say, no matter what it is that I do, no matter what it is that I hear, you're not going to get the expression. You're going to get exactly what it is you believe or not believe. That's basically how it works. If you don't believe something is true, there's nothing anybody can say or convince you to believe anything other than that until you experience it for yourself. When you open yourself up to the experience of something other than what is it you know, that's where learning actually begins. But you have to kind of unlearn what you've learned so you can relearn something new or learn something new to take the place of what you no longer need, which is not serving you well, or this space and place that we live in as far as this dimension and this place of earth that we stay in, this dimensional place. With that being said, in a sense, you could think of the morphic field as a repository of information that can be accessed and utilized by individuals within a species, us, as if it's a collective memory or knowledge bank that individuals can tap into, allowing rapid transmission of learned behaviors or skills without the need for direct experience or training. I'm going to say that one more time so you don't have to say it again for the people in the back. Check this out. In this sense, one could think of the morphic field as repositories of information that can be accessed and utilized by individuals within a species. It's as if there's a collective memory or knowledge bank that the individuals can tap into, allowing for the rapid transmission of learned behaviors or skills without the need for direct experience or training. I'm going to let that sit in for a couple of seconds. A couple of seconds is done. It's possible for you to tune in, tap in, and turn on to experiences, information, and skill sets beyond your wildest dreams. If you can dream it, and you can believe it, and you can see it in your mind's eye, and you can feel it in your heart, then you can hold it in your hand. The question is what do you believe? Okay, I think I clarified this morphic field. Let's think of it as a repository of information, readily accessible for you to tap into and turn on to and figure stuff out real quick without spending oodles and noodles of years and money to find out something that's already here. It's already been said. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything is either remanufactured, reused. If you think about sampling a song or a track, right? They take a sound or a frequency or a vibration that we understand as sound or music, and they use it in different formats, different places and spaces. They chop it up and they create something that you think is brand new. But everything is just sampled over and over and over and over again. Same thing as information, okay? Your job, should you choose to accept this as your mission, should you allow yourself to fall into purpose of who it is that you're designed to be, and should you decide to show up just as you are, because see, you were born with a specific skill set, a specific mission, so to speak. And the whole thing, what it is you've got to remember why you're here. See, it's not about to fall in line and follow the flow of what everybody else is doing. You got your own frequency, energy, and vibration to function and operate on. You are here for a specific reason, not just to occupy space, not just to run around and do the same thing that everybody else is doing and get into the rigmarole of what the followers are doing. You, that's right, you are here for a specific purpose. The question is do you know why? And I'm not just sitting here saying, go find out what your purpose is and go on and do it. I'm saying that there is a reason for you being here. But what we get caught up in is the societal norms and traditions of what family says we should do, and family says we should eat, and family says we should think, which is all, again, if you really think about it, part of that morphic field. That's how information is passed on from generation to generation to generation to generation. It's a learned behavior. Okay. And in that field of information, the same thing that, Drake is speaking in reference to is where it's stored out here, this infinite field of information. Okay. So that's not even the depth of what the morphic field is, but to make it simple, it's a repository of information that everybody has access to that's filled with information, skill sets, and abilities far beyond anything that you can truly dream about. But the question is whether or not you can believe it's possible for you. See, we see everybody else doing these certain things and we try to figure out how they can do it, and we can't. We get so caught up in what we see other people doing, what we see other people have, and we want to figure out how come we don't have, and we get so caught up in our frustrations, aggravations, disappointment, fears, and limitations that we kind of take ourselves out of the equation. When all that they decided to do was do things just a little bit different. And the power of belief that they actually have within themselves is greater, obviously, than the power of belief that you have in yourself, the identity that they actually decided to incorporate within their lives to live the lifestyle as they truly desire to live, which is possible for everybody. It is possible for everybody, but if you believe you can't, you can. If you believe you can, you will. Either way, you're right, okay? So I got through that part real quick. And like I said, if you want to know more about that, I will be happy to go into that. Just leave a comment below and I will put it together for you and we'll go into discussion with it. I'll put something off to the side because if you really want to go into the depths of what this really is all about, I'm happy to go into it. Right now, I just want to get into this sacred geometry part because the next thing I know, it would be here for 40 minutes and I didn't even think it was 10 minutes. So anyway, with that being said, let's look at sacred geometry. In relation to the human body, what is sacred geometry? It's about recognizing that there are an intricate pattern and designs within us that may serve purposes beyond what we've traditionally understood in the biology or medicine of this body. There are patterns that we have within us already. I mean, we're already wired for advancement. The question is, again, what do we believe? Because we can't get any more than we believe. So this goes right back into the same thing about this field. And it goes right back into who it is that we think we are, who it is that we think we're not, because either way, we're right. So let's take a look at what this is. This perspective suggests that the patterns and the proportions found in the human body, much like those observed in sacred geometry, you understand that there are all kinds of shapes and forms in sacred geometry, from Merkaba to cubes and the tree of life and the other elements that are actually associated with sacred geometry. And we can get into all that stuff later on. I'm just trying to keep this light and simple. And like I said, if you want to know more about sacred geometry, just put sacred geometry down. And if you want to know more about the morphic field, put morphic field down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will go right into that stuff. But anyway, let's go back into this. The perspective suggests that the patterns and proportions found within the human body, much like those observed in sacred geometry, are not random, but have specific functions that contribute to our overall well-being, our abilities, and perhaps even our spiritual and mental health. Okay, so now we have a lot of people who are into yoga, they're into meditation, they're into chanting, they're into understanding the patterns of breathing and how these different holistic approaches can actually heal the body from a multitude of dis-ease and discourse and emotional traumas in the body, associations to that. So when you heard me talking before about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system and the endocrine system and the limbic system within inside the brain and heart and brain coherence, and we start jumping into all of these different things about the adrenal systems and understanding how these functionalities and the gut brain axis and the vagus nerve and how we get these sensations and these tinglings in the body. And what we do is we choose to ignore them and not pay attention to them. And we go to hear what somebody else says. And the first thing that the person asks you without saying their name is, tell me what it is that's going on with you, and I'll explain to you what it may be based on a generalization. I'm going to subscribe something to you or prescribe something to you. You know who I'm talking about. Let's take this a little bit deeper. For example, the concept of the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence in the human body implies that our physical form is designed in a way that is not only efficient, but also aesthetically pleasing and harmonically balanced. This could mean that our bodies are structured and helps us to perform at our best, facilitating optimal function and resilience. We are already wired and set up within inside ourselves for optimal performance, for resilience, for the same things it is that we complain about, the same thing it is that we murmur and whine about, the same things it is that we feel so uncomfortable for. We're already structured and wired for optimal performance. But because we fell a little short and we've been hit over the head with a rock, we've been tricked, bamboozled, set up to fail, we fall prey. And we don't realize the significance, importance, and relevance that we actually have within ourselves, within our beings, just as we are right now. Check this out. Moreover, the idea that there are energy centers, chakras, that are aligned in geometric patterns along the spine, and in some spiritual traditions, points to a belief that our physical bodies are interwired with our energetic and spiritual selves. Okay? It's already set up. We're already here. This suggests that understanding and working with these patterns could enhance our health, our energy levels, and our consciousness, the light body, higher degrees of consciousness, higher degrees of awareness, physical alchemy. We're talking about coherence. If you can understand that, and if you can believe that, and you're willing to go on this notion, so to speak, that there might be more to the human body's design than what is conventionally thought of, that's where our discussion actually starts. About the potential for greater physical and mental capacities, healing abilities, and even connections to the universe on a higher power. It's a holistic view that sees the body not just as a biological machine, but as a complex entity where form, function, and spirituality are interconnected. I feel so good right now. I don't even know what to tell y'all. Listen, I know. I have been saying this for such a long time. The validation is really insurmountable right now. Okay. And I know it may even feel like it's really out there, and you might have to listen to this a couple of times. I'm not going to keep saying the same thing again, but I will say this about this notion that it's very well possible that the body that you have right now is designed for a higher purpose. You heard me speak before about see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and those five senses that actually relegated to the universe that we live in this earth, space, and place. We see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch. There are higher faculties of consciousness that go along with reason, memory, will, imagination, and perception. Reason, imagination, memory, will, perception. And what does that look like? We talk about serendipitous moments. We talk about synchronicities and harmonic vibration. We talk about the spectrum of light that we can actually see on when we can actually hear. Look, what I'm saying to you is this. The morphic field has significance, has information that impacts your skill set and environment where you can know something without knowing it. You can learn something without spending years and billions of minutes to figure something out. You can tap in as a resource to this infinite field of information that's out there and create the life that you truly desire to live by. The question is can you break down the structures of what we have been conditioned to believe in this limitation belief system that it's not possible for you when it's truly set up? You can go back out to Egypt. You can sit out there and you can look at these indigenous people and what they've built and what they've structured. We can talk about the shamanic people that's out. We can talk about cultures and customs and mores. We can talk about Mexico and the life forms, and we could talk about all these different things that are actually going on out there. And some people are just scared and terrified of it because they're afraid of what it is that they don't know. So they'd rather stick to the very thing it is that they do know and continue on this lifestyle of beliefs. And that's, hey, listen, whatever floats your boat, continue on. All right. Do your thing that makes you feel the best you that you can possibly be. But don't knock me for what it is that I do because you don't understand it. Okay. That's not my problem. That's your problem. You do you, boo, and I'm going to do me too. Okay. That's how it goes. All right. And I don't have any problem with it. And like I said, I'm not out here to win any, you know, prizes about being liked by everybody. I was really going to say something. I was about to go in there for a minute, but I'm good. Okay. And I don't need to have a marching band behind me. I don't need to have everybody in agreement with what it is that I say or what it is that I do. My life reflects that. And I'm here doing what it is that I do. And I'm accepting you for what it is that you do. And it's all good. Two drops in the bucket. You understand what I mean? And at the same time, by the same token, don't impose your beliefs on me, and I'm not going to impose mine on you. I'm just showing you a way. And if this isn't your boat, bye. See you later. I'm not going to be there saying later on, I told you. In the book, it says, listen, in the book, I'm talking about the Bible. This is what it actually says. It says, go your way. I'll be here when you return because I want you to go and experience because you have free will. Go find out what it looks like out there. Okay. But he also says, the way with me is narrow. So we're going to cut off some of that stuff that you don't need because you've learned a lot of things that just don't apply and they're not my ways. So it's already been prophesied that this is how it is. And it's also been prophesied that the prophet has no honor in his own town. So if y'all don't see me, guess what? I went to another town. All right. With that being said, I think I did what I could do as far as this morphic field is concerned by keeping it light and keeping it simple. And like I said, if you want to hear more about the morphic field and the structure of it and the details of it, and we can really do a deep dive on it, put it down in the comments below, and I'll definitely go into it a lot deeper. If you want to know more about this sacred geometry and how it actually works as far as the Fibonacci sequence and as far as the ratio, the golden ratio, and how these things actually interact with the body. There are all kinds of books that are out here. There's all kind of books as far as the field. There's all kind of books that have information that integrate the two concepts that it is I'm referring to right now. And the greatest thing about all of this situation and this information is that we are wired already for sex beyond what we can even conceptually believe. And when you choose to accept that as a way of life, that's when the party truly begins. Look, hydration, sleep, rest, and restoration, stress management, proper nutrition, supplementation, the food it is that we eat is, for the most part, it's genetically modified. The food that's actually in these bags is built for shelf life, not your life. even the exercises that we were doing. And I've even changed up my programming as far as exercises is concerned. And being a pro bodybuilder, it's a whole different concept, because we were under this auspiciousness of doing things this particular way. But there's ways that the body, which is what I actually did, how I got this pro card, by doing the same thing it is that I'm speaking in reference to. And I did have a coach and a trainer for my posing that was asking me, like, he was so surprised. He's like, what are you doing? Because what you're doing doesn't make sense. The transformation that you're going through in your body does not make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So what I'm saying to you is the application of this information is the thing that creates radical transformation. All right. The application of the information is the thing that creates radical transformation. If you're talking about vitality, if you're talking about how to live life with a greater expression of who it is that you truly are, there are some simple things that we must begin to do. All right. And I'm happy to explain what those things are, but not tonight. So, with that being said, check this episode out again. Listen to it again if you need to. Understand what this morphic field actually is. Understand what sacred geometry actually is with the body. It's not just a bunch of different shapes with lines going from one point to the next point. We talk about decahedrons and all these other different shapes and how they actually correlate to the body. Circles in a square, triangle, all of these other different shapes and what they actually mean within inside the body as far as the dimensional codes that actually even just understand that we have energy centers within this body, and there's so much more to it than what it actually meets, and so much more to it than what's actually been shared and said, and so much more to it that we can actually do than we've done. And the time for us to actually wake up and engage is not yesterday, and it's now. It's now, like right now. Okay. So get with the program, wake up, and let's go ahead and do this thing called living life to the best of our abilities and having this abundant life that we're supposed to have, and being joyful and elated and, gratitude, appreciation, compassion, care, love, self-love, just love you for you. All right. Well, listen, with that being said, this is one of the calmest ones I've ever done. I don't know why, but I just know it was very calm. I hope it's only been maybe 20 minutes. If it's more than that, I'm getting there. Y'all just work with me, okay? I don't think it's been any more than 20 minutes, but at the same time, with that being said, I appreciate each and every single one of y'all being up in this space and place, because I know you could have been anywhere besides here. And yeah, thanks for spending time listening to this Morphic Field. Like I said, subscribe, and put down in the comments if you want to know more about this morphic field and you want to know more about sacred geometry and how the interrelation between the two are. Listen to this again. I promise you're going to hear something that you didn't hear the first time. Just keep listening to it, and you will definitely get this thing. And it'll just be like, I never thought about it. All right. So, with that being said, peace, blessings, prosperity, and abundance. Namaste. You enjoy the rest of your day. One love to you. I'm out. Peace.